Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the rapid, literally unprecedented dismantling of a multi-billion-dollar empire. We're looking at a story where high-stakes corporate maneuvering collides head-on with a devastating criminal breakdown.
Think about this for a second. He built one of the most lucrative corporate empires in music history, and in 24 months, every corporate tie was severed. As investigators looking at the cold, hard facts, the sheer speed of this collapse is just staggering. Today, we are opening up the stark, factual dossier of Sean Combs' business dissolution.
Okay, let's dive right into this case file. Here's how we're breaking it down today. First, the HSI raids and the evidence. Then, the Diageo corporate severance, followed by the Revolt Media equity transfer, the reassignment of Bad Boy publishing rights, and finally, the SDNY racketeering indictment.
Part 1. The HSI raids and evidence. A sudden catalyst.
Let's track exactly how this escalated, because the timeline is breathtakingly fast for an empire of this scale. It kicks off in November 2023, when his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura files that first abuse lawsuit. Just a few months later, in March 2024, Homeland Security Investigations executes raids on his Miami and LA properties. And this domino effect escalates rapidly to September 2024, bringing arrests and indictments by the Southern District of New York. Ultimately, it culminates in an October 2025 verdict, a 50-month federal prison sentence. The real turning point was March 25, 2024. Homeland Security executed search warrants using what defense attorneys actually called a gross use of military-level force on Combs' properties in Star Island, Miami, and Holmby Hills in LA. The evidence log here is visceral, especially when you juxtapose it against his incredibly polished corporate image. Agents seized electronic devices and hard drives, and they found narcotics. We're talking ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB. They also recovered 3 illegally modified AR-15 rifles, and, notoriously, over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Right at the same time, Brendan Paul, a former Syracuse basketball player and alleged drug mule for Combs, was arrested.
Now, looking at that extreme evidence log, you really have to wonder, how do corporate entertainment contracts protect brands from executive legal fallout? Because the second those raids happened, the blast radius immediately hit Combs' corporate partnerships.
Which brings us to Part 2, Diageo and corporate severance, the tumbling dominoes.
Diageo wasn't just a casual partner here. They were a massive, central pillar of Combs' wealth. And this situation brilliantly illustrates the dramatic irony of it all. Back in May 2023, Combs Wines actually sued Diageo in the New York Supreme Court. Way before the federal raids, Combs was accusing the spirits giant of racism, claiming they were intentionally starving his brands, De Leon Tequila and Ciroc Vodka, of essential resources and investment. But look at how fast the legal leverage shifts. In May 2023, Combs is on the offensive, claiming Diageo prioritized brands like George Clooney's Casamigos over his own. But flash forward to November 2023, right after the explosive Cassie Ventura lawsuit dropped, and Diageo completely pivots. They essentially used those abuse allegations as their immediate exit strategy. They argued that Combs risked inflicting devastating and permanent reputational damage to the brands. Literally overnight, the leverage completely flipped.
So here's the crucial point on how this all ended. By January 2024, a settlement was reached. Combs withdrew all his allegations with prejudice, and in return, Diageo took 100% sole ownership of both De Leon and Ciroc. Their joint statement was incredibly stark, stating simply that Diageo and Mr. Combs have no ongoing business relationship. Just like that, he completely lost his footing in a spirits empire he had helped market since 2007.
And Diageo wasted absolutely no time scrubbing his presence from their portfolio. By April 2025, they announced a massive restructuring. They formed a joint venture with Main Street Advisors and actually traded away their ownership of Ciroc in North America. In exchange for that, they acquired a majority stake in Lobos 1707 Tequila, which happens to be a brand backed by NBA superstar LeBron James. It was a total corporate swap. They replaced one celebrity partnership with another, distancing themselves as far away from the ongoing scandals as humanly possible.
Moving on to Part 3, Revolt Media equity transfer, shifting ownership.
Media was another massive part of the Combs portfolio, but what's really fascinating here is the solution Revolt came up with. Combs had stepped down in November 2023, and by June 2024, Revolt announced a totally new ownership structure. The shares previously held by Combs were fully redeemed and retired. This was a super strategic move because it allowed the company to remain Black-owned, but now the current employees became the largest shareholder group. It was essentially a maneuver to save the company's core mission while completely severing ties with its founder.
Part 4, Reassigning Bad Boy Publishing. the legacy assets.
This actually takes us back to the very historical foundation of Combs' wealth, Bad Boy Records. Back in September 2023, right before the indictments fully materialized, Combs systematically returned the publishing rights to the very artists who built Bad Boy into a global powerhouse. We are talking about returning assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars to legacy artists. This included the estate of the Notorious B.I.G., Mace, The Lox, Faith Evans, and 112. Combs framed this massive transfer as an act of economic empowerment for Black creators, essentially saying he was foregoing future profits to finally put that money back into the artists' pockets.
But we have to objectively contrast that PR angle with the reality on the ground for those artists. Combs told Billboard it was all about reform, saying he was choosing purpose over profit. But the reaction from the artists themselves was often incredibly bitter. For instance, Maze had previously, and very publicly, fought Combs over a $2 million ransom just to get his own rights back. Former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry called the late return straight-up disrespectful, pointing out that the catalogs had already decreased in value. He said he'd rather just have the money that was taken back when they had zero bargaining power. The R&B group B5 even stepped up to demand their rights, claiming they hadn't heard from Diddy at all. So for a lot of these creators, it really felt like way too little, way too late.
Finally, Part 5, the SDNY racketeering indictment, the final reality. Stripping away all the corporate maneuvering, this is where the rubber meets the road. On September 16, 2024, the United States of America versus Sean Combs was unsealed. He was indicted by the Southern District of New York on 3 incredibly severe felony counts: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation for prostitution. He was repeatedly denied bail by federal judges due to severe concerns over witness intimidation. Ultimately, in October 2025, Sean Combs was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison. These unsealed federal charges and the resulting judicial rulings stand as the definitive, unarguable conclusion to the investigation.
It's a stark reminder of the sheer fragility of corporate empires, especially when they're built on shifting, unstable foundations. What takes decades of calculated moves to build can literally be dismantled in just 24 months when federal realities come knocking. It really makes you wonder, right? How many other entertainment empires are built on these exact same fault lines? If you value this kind of structured, fact-based breakdown, subscribe for investigative dossiers. We'll see you in the next explainer.